Welcome back. Sustainable development is a holistic approach in three areas: economic, social, and environmental aspects of development. As humanity faces numerous sustainability challenges, the planet is being affected by climate change, change in land use, depletion of natural resources, and biological loss. Sustainable development means having resources like food, water, and health without overstressing the Earth's natural processes. Meanwhile, sustainable finance provides a vital framework for companies to transform to a green and equitable future. This is an increasingly important component of investors' and banks' risk management policies. It also includes impact investments and socially responsible investments by integrating social and environmental considerations in financial decisions and performance. For further analysis, Judge Anyebunem, a sustainability finance expert, joins me. Hello, good to have you, George.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me around this morning.
Good to have you, right. Now, there have been several talks about climate change and, of course, net zero, which has become, something that a lot of people say now. But this still sounds like a hoax to some people, especially because they do not seem to understand the subject matter and think it is so much noise about nothing. Talk to us, about how much of a problem climate change really is to the world, and, of course, in particular, Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much. Like I said earlier on, it's good having me around. So climate change is a very serious issue, not just globally, but locally, and is not something we can sweep under the carpet anymore. So today, you see that we have rising temperatures. We see that the weather has changed so much. We also see that we have so much environmental challenges as we speak, from the Niger Delta to the oil fields of oil fields of Niger Delta, moving towards the northern part of Nigeria. For instance, okay, let me just give a very important example. Okay. In the past few years, we've had this serious issue regarding the farmer-herder clashes in the northern, from the north to the middle belt, now moving down towards southern Nigeria. All these gave birth to banditry, terrorism, and all that. And research has shown that climate change is a major culprit in all these challenges. Seeing that people who their major source of livelihood used to be agriculture, farming, or let's call it farming. Desert encroachment and climate change has actually destroyed their source of livelihood. So most of them no longer have any, they don't longer have any serious options, so they have to start moving down the south. As they're coming down the south with their animals, or we call them cattle, you see them destroying farmlands and causing serious damage to the economic well-being of most of the farmers down south and mostly in the middle belt. So what do you see? At the end of the day, you see conflict, you see crisis. So the impact of climate change, and mostly the negative impact of climate change, cannot be fully emphasized. From fishing to transportation to agriculture to mining to oil exploration, you can see the footprint of climate change. You can see what the terrible, terrible situations that climate change has caused across the globe, and mostly or majorly Nigeria.
All right. Now, it's actually believed that the planet is on course to blast past the rising temperatures, and it's a good thing you also talked about the rising temperatures. And if that happens, it would make the climate crisis an irreversible ecological catastrophe. And then they're saying that one way we can avoid that is by radically reducing our carbon emissions with ambitious short and, long-term targets, so we can hit this net zero. Now, looking at our country, Nigeria, have we started keying into this? Have we even keyed into it?
Okay, so yeah, that's a very interesting question, a very wonderful one. So coming to Nigeria, you will see that Nigeria has started. Yes, we've seen pockets of actions, impact here and there in the area of regenerative agriculture. I think some few months ago, I saw Dantata farms or so trying to partner with some people to see how they can, advance sustainability agriculture. You see the NGX, that Nigerian Exchange Group, NGX.
George, if you can hear me. All right, so we'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll continue the conversation. We've been speaking with George. Stay with us. We still have George Anyegbuniam with us, and he's a sustainability finance expert. Hi, George. Good to know you're still with us.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Very well. All right, please go ahead. You were talking about what Nigeria is doing, and you also talked about the regenerative agriculture as one of the steps that Nigeria is taking towards, reaching the net zero. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. So I was trying to look into some pockets of actions being taken within the economy. So I talked about regenerative agriculture, like I said, what Dan Tata Food is trying to do. I talked about the NGX, Nigerian Exchange Group, formerly Nigerian Stock Exchange, how they're trying to do one or two things, deepen sustainability or ESG investing. You also a lot of activities are going on within the renewable energy space. We can now see solar. We see people trying to adopt solar energy as a way of transitioning to more sustainable energy. So, but in all this, you can see that we have not really done enough in Nigeria. Looking at what other countries have done, for instance, Norway, you see that Norway has achieved a lot of milestone in the area of net zero impact, or in terms of transitioning to a more sustainable way of living. Yeah, a more sustainable way of living, or a more sustainable future. So you see places like California as a state. You see them saying by 2024, we are going to see how we can phase out anything that is not electric vehicle. So there's a quick work being done. But here in Nigeria, because we've not been able to organize it, we have not been able to use laws and policies effectively in driving sustainability. So that's one of the major reasons for the gaps you're seeing here and there. But is it late? No. We can start now. And if we start now, what does that mean? We have to, what I call top-down and bottom-up approach. It has to come from the top, from the government to the people, and also from the people up to the government. Because there's no way actually you can talk about sustainability, sustainable energy transitions, or net zero achievement without actually carrying along the people at the grassroots. So all hands have to be on deck. And the challenge, what I see.
George, if you can hear me, can you hear me? All right, there you have it. George was talking to us about what Nigeria is doing. And according to him, well, we haven't done so much, and that's as a result of the fact that we don't necessarily have a framework with which we're trying to achieve a sustainable future. And then he believes that, well, it's not too late. We can start, and we can also be like places like Norway and some other places where they have actually started by having laws and ensuring that they achieve certain things. If you can hear me, please go ahead, George.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, please go ahead.
Like I said earlier on, the earlier we start, the better, because most countries have gone ahead. And if we waste time, if we keep wasting time, we are going to arrive the party very late, almost when the party is over. Because countries are taking positions. For instance, Netherlands, you can see what the Netherlands have done in terms of sustainability. They've done so much. But one of the major reasons why these countries are taking these actions is because sustainability comes with its own economic advantage.
All right, okay, go ahead.
For instance, in the next, is believed that in the next 20 years, within the next 20 years, we're going to see a huge capital flow, up to $20 trillion going into the space of ESG investing. So just imagine that Nigeria, we don't take action right now, Nigeria will miss out from that big opportunity that is going to occur in the future. So the earlier we start it, the better for us.
All right, now we're looking at several issues. Now, the risk and threats associated with, warming planet remain the biggest long-term threats to our combined economic future. And this definitely brings us to the importance of financing a sustainable future. So, I mean, if we're going to talk about a sustainable future, then we need to begin to put our money in that direction. So how can we actually achieve this? Bearing in mind that there is a whole lot that's involved in all of this, and I'll really be glad if you can also unpack this whole discussion for us so that it becomes easier and everybody knows what role he or she can play in all of this.
Okay, thank you very much. So number one is that the regulatory bodies, SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, Central Bank, CBN, they have to lead the way. Because if you must drive a change, mostly as it concerns ESG, sustainability and investing, or climate financing, regulatory bodies have to be, at the forefront of it. If you look at what most countries have achieved, you can see that they have used regulations to shape or to define the concept and the architecture of ESG. So regulation is key in this space, number one. Secondly, we can see that it's time most of these companies started coming back to look at their balance sheet. So how can we decarbonize our balance sheet? How many companies today in Nigeria can be referred to as B Corp companies, what we call benefit companies? What are benefit companies? Companies that are looking at, they have, retool their business model to favor ESG, to favor what's it called, energy transitionings and all that, making sure that they not just do business, they are not just interested in making profit, but they make huge impact in the communities, in the nations, in the economy, in the lives of families, and in the lives of everyone that exists in the place where they operate. So how many companies are actually certified as B Corp companies in Nigeria today? Look, in the last few months, you've seen what we call GFANS. That's a Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero. Most companies, insurance companies, banks, investment banks, as signatories to that particular document. How many Nigerian banks, how many Nigerian insurance companies have actually appended their signature to the GFANS protocols? So we need to go back and see how everybody, all hands have to be on deck. Mostly the insurance companies, mostly the investment banks, mostly the commercial banks, they have to go back and see where are our investments going into. For instance, okay, let me just paint this scenario. Take a typical Nigerian bank, look at their loan or their credit portfolio. Where are most of their assets, coming from? Are they carbon-intensive assets? Are we financing carbon-intensive assets? Are we financing regenerative agriculture? Are we financing renewable energy transitions? Are we financing sustainable transportation? Where are most of these monies going to? Because you can't just be preaching sustainability, but you're actually putting money in assets that actually are high carbon intensive.
George, let me come in here.
By the time the regulatory bodies.
Okay, I think you're going to the part where you probably get to answer my question, because I was going to ask. It feels like a whole lot, drops on the maybe it becomes the responsibility of the banks and financial institutions. That's what you're making it sound like now. So I was going to ask you if so much rests with these financial institutions.
A lot rests with the financial institutions. A lot rests with the regulatory bodies, the SEC, the CBN. They all have to come together, build a.
All right, I guess we have an issue connecting with our guest. George, if you can hear me, I think this is a good place to wrap it all up. Thanks for your thought. And he has said a whole lot already, talking about the regulatory bodies and all of that. Okay, if you can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
Oh, okay. I feel I should just let you, share some thoughts before we wrap it all up. Okay. In closing, yes, talking about financing sustainability.
So in terms of climate financing or sustainability financing, like I said, all stakeholders, all hands have to be on deck. So what is the capital market doing about it? What is what are the banks doing about it? What are the insurance companies doing about it? So when it comes to sustainable or sustainability financing, all these stakeholders, the banks, the insurance companies, the capital market, and all these stakeholders involved, they have to come together, develop a framework that will work for everyone, adapt it, not just copy and paste from Europe or from Africa, because what works in Europe may not work in Nigeria. So adapt it to suit the local realities, what we find, what we can see on ground in Nigeria, and from there we begin to have a baseline upon which we can build and begin to advance sustainability practice, not just in Nigeria but in Africa as a whole. So a lot has to be done, but it's possible. We can actually achieve that.
All right, thank you so much, George Anyebunam, for sharing your thoughts with us on Business Breakfast today.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's a close on that particular conversation. And of course, we've been speaking with George Anyebunam, sustainable finance expert. Well, we'll take a break now. And when we return, President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration will approve more seaports in the country as the Lekki Deep Seaport welcomes its first vessel. That's our next talking point. Stay with us. After this break, we'll bring you that conversation.